It was a day to remember for the storm spotters and weather watchers of the area. Bryce Dinker is the Emergency Management Coordinator for Clay County.
We knew that the potential was high for severe weather in our area. And I've been in contact with some of the big chasers that were coming in kind of to our area, but not so much here. They were predominantly looking a little bit more east. But we started rolling things up when the weather started getting worse to the further south of us and stuff. So we started activating all of our storm spotters around here. We went under a severe thunderstorm warning, and within probably less than 45 seconds, we went into a tornado warning when the tornado happened. So yeah, it happened really, really fast when it started. So here's the problem. We had tornadoes in the southwest corner, the southeast corner of the county, and then turned right back around and had them in the northwest corner of the county. You know, so we had people split up all across the county, so it was pretty tough keeping track of everything. We had a couple of law enforcement that got real close. I had another one of my spotters who's also on a fire department. The strange thing about it is that it was such a huge multi-vortex cell that it was popping tornadoes all over the place. Well, he was watching the big storm, the F3 tornado. Well, there happened to be another one that had dropped down next to him, and he's hearing reports on the radio of another one, and he's like, well, that can't be. That's about where I'm at. And about that time, he said he looked out his right window, and here's a round bale, 1,500, 2,000 pounds, that was hovering at his windshield level, and he said, that's not right. So the tornado was right next to him. I got out of it pretty good. My pickup had a little bit of damage, but nothing too bad. His, it sucked the roof down, clear down on it, and it never did come back up. So yeah, we got pretty close, and I had a deputy sheriff come up to me afterwards, and he said, I don't understand. How did you guys stay so calm and cool through that whole thing? He said, I just wanted to keep screaming every time they talked to me on the radio, because he said the whole sky was alive, and everywhere I looked there was another tornado. So it was odd, and to be 100% honest with you, I hope I never ever go through that again, because it was happening all over. So.
For Mark Brugham, KICD meteorologist, it was as hectic a weather situation as he's ever seen.
I probably don't have the best perspective after about 1 o'clock, because I was talking and reading notes that everybody was handing me. I had an intern here that afternoon, and we started the radar about 12:20 because we were getting suspicious from satellite pictures that something was going to fire along that warm front to the south. At 12:30 we had just hints of echoes on the radar. By 1 o'clock we had the first warning for severe thunderstorms down in Cherokee County, and then it just deteriorated from there. Every thunderstorm that developed along that warm front that afternoon became tornadic, and it ended up being 9 of them in about a 6-hour period. Clay County has a dubious distinction of holding the record for the most tornadoes in one afternoon or one day in one county. We have really literate listeners. That's the big thing here. They know what to report. We had trained spotters out. Bryce Dinker was here for a while, and then he went out chasing. We had our chief engineer on the ham radio operations here talking to trained spotters who are amateur radio operators, and the general public called in. And when the lines light up as they did, and we were getting the ham radio reports, there really wasn't time to doubt this. It was obviously something that was happening and was real. The problem was we had so many on the ground at once. First ones were down in the southern part of the county, southeastern portions down around Webb, and then they started popping over in eastern O'Brien County, and those are the ones that crawled up through the Everly area. And I don't think in all my years of broadcasting I've had an afternoon quite like that, and if that never happens again, it'll be too soon.
All told, the Clay County tornadoes of June 11, 2004 caused about $1.3 million in damage to structures in Clay County, along with untold amounts of crop damage. Some livestock was lost, but miraculously, there were no injuries to people. Bryce Dinker knows it could have been a lot worse.
Especially when I got the first call that the tornado had come down, they thought in northern BV County, they didn't know if it was in Clay County yet. Well, I started heading that way, and as I was moving my way down there, you could see the rotation throughout the whole sky. There was rotation all over as I was working down into the area. I'm driving in sunlight, and then all of a sudden come up on large hail, and the next thing I know, I'm within 100 feet of this F3 tornado. Well, the path that it's taking, I look over to my left, the way it's going, and I see the town of Webb. And that's the first thing, is I thought it was going through the town of Webb. And yeah, and then we had outbreaks where they were coming out of in the Dickens area, you know. Now the one tornado that when it went and passed in front of me, I turned around and then got behind it, and right in its path, direct path, was a farm place. I know the person that lives there is a widowed lady. I was scared to death that she was outside riding her lawnmower or something, because, you know, we really had no rain. It was a pretty nice day ahead of that, you know. I thought maybe she was out riding the lawnmower or whatever, you know, and that was my fear. Now, as the tornado passed in front of me, I lost visual of a farm place just to the south of me. Well, when it cleared and when I got the mud off my windshield, the big tall pine trees that I saw standing earlier were gone. I couldn't see the farm place anymore. There was a deputy sheriff south of there. He radioed me quick. He went in and took care of that, and I started following the tornado, heading over towards this homestead, because I figured, you know, we were going to have some kind of problems over there. We were really fortunate. It came up right up to the fence row in front of her house and disappeared. We had the same thing happen over in Everly. I had a couple of storm tracers that were over there, spotters for me that were out, sitting south of Everly, watching the storms coming into Everly. He said that's the closest in his 13 years of spotting storms. He physically had to lay the microphone down. He thought he was going to get sick, because he said it looked like the tornado was coming right into Everly. And he said, I'm going to sit here and watch hundreds of people's homes and lives get changed, and there's nothing I can do about it. So yeah, it was bad, you know, and we had the ones pop up over around the Dickens area, down around Elk Lake, and then they started into Palo Alto County. So yeah, we were so fortunate that we didn't have more than that we did. I mean, we lost a lot of agricultural land, we lost the bridge, but boy, it could have been a whole lot worse than what it was.
A lot of that has to be the education that goes on ahead of time, the ready, set, go phase. And we were talking in the morning about we could have big problems this afternoon. We didn't know how big they were actually going to be, but we talked about that. We run stories every spring. We sponsor spotter classes so people know what to do when the severe weather threatens and moves in. That afternoon, people were, I think I said on the air at 1 o'clock, I don't like the look of this. You need to be thinking now what you're going to do and where you're going to go if this situation, if the weather falls apart like we think it might. And then, you know, it's the listeners that took the action. We had people on radar that kept us appraised of where those storms were moving, real time. That helped us a lot. And the other thing that helped us were the spotters from the amateur radio operators and the general public that called in, and pretty much all we ended up was being a big loudspeaker, and people took the action that they should have.
One of the things we learned on that day in June of 2004 is that the people of Northwest Iowa are as weather savvy as people anywhere. It was reports from the public that helped keep the storm chasers on track that day, and it was storm preparedness that helped keep people safe as tornadoes struck in Clay County. For the Spencer Channel, I'm Curtis Dean.